The US is now targeting Indian companies over their Iran business, and this could become a much bigger problem for India-US relations. That's right, the Trump administration has sanctioned 4 India-based companies and 3 Indian nationals, accusing them of helping move Iranian petroleum and petrochemical products into India. And while the businesses involved may not be major names back home in India, the message coming from Washington is quite significant. Doing business with Iran can now put foreign companies directly in the crosshairs of US sanctions. So what exactly has happened and why should India care? Let's start with the companies. The US State Department has sanctioned Portease Partners LLP, an India-based customs broker, accusing it of facilitating multiple shipments of Iranian petrochemical products into India. 2 of its designated partners, Idris Mia Ashraf Mia Sheikh and Harish Ramachandran Rangi, have also been sanctioned. 3 other companies have also been targeted. Sadashiva Overseas Limited, which Washington says imported around $69 million worth of Iranian-origin petroleum products between February 2024 and June 2025. Softtech Private Limited, which allegedly imported around $25 million worth of Iranian petroleum products between January 2024 and June 2025. And Prakrutees Infra Impex India Private Limited, which Washington says imported another $25 million worth between May 2023 and February 2026. Now, the US has also sanctioned Prashant Garg, an Indian national and director of Softtech. Taken together, the imports cited by Washington come to roughly $120 million. Now, in the context of global oil and petrochemical trade, $120 million is not a huge number. But that's not really the point. The bigger story is who Washington is targeting and why. The Trump administration is making it clear that its Iran sanctions campaign is not restricted to Iranian companies alone. It is also going after foreign brokers, importers, shipping companies, and financial intermediaries that Washington believes are helping Iran generate revenue. And that is where this becomes relevant for India. Now, the latest sanctions are part of a broader campaign that the Trump administration calls Operation Economic Outcast. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the objective is to cut off Iran's remaining financial lifelines. That means targeting the money flowing through oil and petrochemicals, shipping, banking, technology, gold, aviation, and digital assets. Now, Bessent has also warned that the US wants to sever the economic networks that help sustain the Iranian government. And the President Donald Trump has issued an even broader warning. He has said that any country allowing its financial institutions, businesses, airports, or government entities to provide Iran with what he calls a lifeline could face tremendous economic consequences. So the message is clear. Washington wants companies around the world to think twice before doing business with Iran. And that creates a difficult situation for India. Because while New Delhi has reduced its economic exposure to Iran over the years, India has not walked away from Iran altogether. There is one particularly important reason for that: Chabahar Port. India has invested in Chabahar because it provides an important route into Afghanistan and Central Asia without having to rely on Pakistan. Now, that makes Iran strategically important for India's regional connectivity. And there is also regular trade between India and Iran. Indian businesses export products including rice, tea, and pharmaceuticals to the Iranian market. So if the US sanctions make banking, insurance, shipping, or payments involving Iran more difficult, the impact could extend beyond the companies that have been directly sanctioned. Indian businesses may have to become much more careful about who they deal with, how payments are routed, and whether any transaction could expose them to US action. And this is where the latest move becomes particularly sensitive because India-US relations are already under pressure. There have been disagreements over trade and tariffs, India's continuing relationship with Russia, and the Trump administration's increasingly transactional approach towards New Delhi or for any country. Now, Iran is becoming another potential pressure point. The concern is not necessarily that India itself is about to be sanctioned. The bigger concern is that Indian companies could increasingly find themselves caught between Washington's sanction policy and India's own strategic interest. And there is another question that makes this story even more interesting. What about China? Now, China, as we know, is Iran's biggest oil consumer. The Trump administration has also sanctioned Chinese and Hong Kong-linked entities as part of its Iran crackdown. But Washington has been much more cautious about taking measures that could directly hit China's biggest financial institutions or even trigger a much broader confrontation with Beijing. And there is a reason for that. China has enormous leverage over the United States, particularly because of its dominance in areas such as rare earths and critical minerals. So Washington's Iran campaign creates an uncomfortable contrast. The US can put significant pressure on companies in countries with less ability to retaliate. But when it comes to a major power like China, the calculations become much more complicated. In fact, when Besant was asked about Iran's major trading partners, he conspicuously avoided naming China and suggested that some discussions were better held privately. India, meanwhile, has to navigate its own balancing act. New Delhi has traditionally maintained strategic autonomy in its foreign policy, and it has also continued relationships with countries that Washington itself has sanctioned or pressured, most notably Russia. At the same time, India has been building a much deeper strategic relationship with the United States itself. Now that makes the Iran question particularly delicate. How much space does India have to maintain its strategic and economic relationship with Tehran without exposing Indian companies to American sanctions? And that question could become more important if Washington expands this campaign. Iran, for its part, has dismissed the US economic offensive as a bluster. Iranian officials say the US does not have the ability to completely restrict Tehran's relationships with other countries. China has also rejected unilateral US sanctions and called for diplomacy. But for businesses, the political argument matters less than the financial risk. If a company believes that a transaction with Iran could potentially trigger US sanctions, that alone can be enough to make banks, insurers, shipping companies, and other intermediaries step back. And that is precisely why secondary sanctions can be so powerful. The US doesn't necessarily need to stop every transaction itself. It can make companies around the world decide that dealing with Iran simply isn't worth the risk.